I was a villain, and Goku changed everything. Let me explain. I was born in the 1990s, and I suffered some pretty bad abuse in my life and some really bad bullying when I was a kid. I tried to cope by sticking to my room, playing games, or watching cartoons. Unfortunately, something inside of me was just broken. I constantly got into fights with my friends, my neighbors, and my classmates. But the scary thing was, when I look back, I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed violence. I enjoyed hurting the people around me, and I enjoyed testing my own strength. I enjoyed causing people pain and seeing how much pain I could take myself. I loved fighting kids that were older than me so I could compare myself to them. And with all these fights, I always had some type of justification for my actions, but honestly, there was really never any good reason. My heart was filled with hatred, anger, and rage. But one summer in my early years, things took a turn. I took a vacation down to Texas to visit my grandparents. That summer, they let me stay in their sunroom where I had a small box TV to myself. This would be the first time I was introduced to Cartoon Network. I got to see a whole list of new shows like Dexter's Lab, Johnny Bravo, and even Courage the Cowardly Dog. But then at 4 p.m., Toonami came on. This is when I was first introduced to Dragon Ball Z. I landed myself smack dab in the middle of the Ginyu saga. I had never seen artwork like this before. The characters felt so powerful, and it captivated me. I'll never forget when Goku lands and arrives just in time to save the party. He was so strong, but he wasn't a savage. He was calm, with an overwhelming aura of justice and a desire to protect other people. This character was inspiring to me. You see, it was rare to see violence like Dragon Ball Z on TV in the 90s. Even Spider-Man shows never really had anyone get hurt in them, and most superheroes of my time always seemed to be really fake, and they never really had any real anger. I mean, with the exception of, characters like Wolverine, but I mean, he's Wolverine. I mean, it's just a very angry character. Things were different with Goku though, and the stakes felt so high. There was something inspiring about him. It was amazing how everyone admired him and looked up to him as a symbol of hope. He was reliable and every character trusted him. Even though he had a goofy side, he knew when to be serious and he knew when to be violent. When I saw this, something clicked with me. I wanted to be that type of guy. I wanted to be a person that would protect people, and I wanted to be the one to end the fights instead of starting them. I wanted to be the type of man someday that anyone could count on. Immediately after these few episodes ended, my dad and I went to Blockbuster, and that's when I found a small section of VHS DBZ tapes. I picked one up and he rented it for me, and I watched that tape so many times that it almost broke. I couldn't believe a show like this existed. I couldn't believe a character like this existed. Goku had every reason to hate. For instance, his relationship with Vegeta showed me something that before DBZ I had never really seen before. It was hard for me to understand. Vegeta hated Goku and even tried to force an identity onto him. So why is it that time and time again, Goku continued to show him respect, even though he knew he was stronger? This brought up a lot of confusion with me. If someone hates you, you hate them back, right? If someone wishes violence on you, you strike first. This was at least the idea I had in my mind at the time. But Goku was never like that. If you go through almost every character he fights, he offers the enemy a chance to turn away or make peace. Goku's character has so much more depth to him than people realize. Many people just view him as a typical shonen punchy character, but there's so much more. The lessons that are taught by his character's actions are actually pretty deep. With Raditz, we learn that blood doesn't necessarily make you family. With Vegeta and Nappa, we learn that standing against the social injustices of the upper class is something to be admired. And with Namek, we realize that people are much more complicated than they give off on the surface level. For instance, I'm sure most of us, the first time we heard Vegeta's story, we probably died a little inside. And even in that saga, this is when we see the terrifying truth of reality, although many of us might have been too young to really understand it. Some people exist in this world to dominate, to cause pain, and to fulfill every desire they have with no concept of consequences. This type of person is Frieza. And these type of people create people like Vegeta. Many of you watching this don't understand that Frieza is in fact a representation of real people that exist in our world. And when you finally meet those people, often you won't know it right away. They'll promise you positions of power and influence over other people. They'll even give you gifts. When the mask drops though, it's one of the most terrifying things you'll ever experience as an adult. The fact that you're looking at someone where their consciousness just doesn't click with reality. You look at them and you begin to realize that there's nothing holding them back from doing anything they want to do, and they don't care. And these types of life lessons are all throughout Dragon Ball Z. Seeing this story play out and the character that Goku is, as a kid, I made it my mission to change. And I'll be honest, it took a lot of years. There was a small part of me that enjoyed hurting people around me as a child. It became painfully hard to break free from that version of myself. After all, we've all heard hurt people hurt other people, right? Every year, I wrestled with myself, and I tell myself at the start of each school year, this is the year that I will change. But no one tells you how difficult that change is. No one tells you how hard it is to manually switch what is good in your mind. And nobody tells you how hard it is to dig deep enough to understand why you enjoyed those bad things. But here's the thing, it can be done. You might have to break yourself a couple dozen times, but you'll get there. So Akira Toriyama, I just want to say thank you for making this character. Thank you for showing so many people that being good is the better way. Loving others is the better way. We love you and miss you. Thank you.